All right, today's video is myself challenging myself to not use any gear, to just use my phone. No microphone, no rig, just my old iPhone 13, old, now what are we at? iPhone 15. Trying to take as less takes as I can and relying on just filming right now as well as editing at the end. Without a microphone, you're probably catching everything back here. There's a highway right there, so it's probably taking in all of that noise. Bunch of airplanes coming by. So I don't even know how I'm gonna edit out that sound, but that's what the challenge is about. Also, I'm trying to use the front portion of my camera so I can see myself. And a long time ago, I already got a crack right here, literally making some hazy, I guess it looks kind of cool in certain aspects, but it is also hazy out, so I guess that works out. You don't necessarily need all of this gear, and at the end of the day, it's really what message you can come across with that really matters. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with this whole minimalistic, maybe adding that into our YouTube, being more minimalistic. There's no reason to have microphones, I guess, so you can hear me better. I can hear some sirens over there, so I don't know if this is a smart move. Maybe it's gonna be more of a challenge for me in terms of editing, but I think it's gonna be a good lesson to me that you don't necessarily need all the rigs in the world, all of the fancy equipment to get, in this case, a very simple message across. And that's what I think I'm struggling with right now. We're on the verge of possibly leaving Korea and restarting, not necessarily restarting again, but maybe moving to a different country. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going from scratch, but it would require us to let go of a lot of material things. And once we made that decision, I realized that I still struggle with this attachment to all things materialistic. And I realized that you can get a lot of things done with such simple materials. Today and a little bit of yesterday, we were wanting to build a dollhouse for our daughter, and we ended up just using such simple things. We just used cardboard and some leftover paint. I guess looking at her as we were working on the dollhouse, as well as how her reaction was when she got to play with it currently, showed that you don't necessarily need the fancy things. You don't need to spend a bunch of money. I think that would be nice, but I think we created a process out of such simple materials and the idea of doing something together, creating community with our family. I think that lasting memory was something that I feel like was more important than maybe just going to a store and then picking up a dollhouse for her. It's currently starting to rain right now, so I'm gonna keep moving forward with this filming and let things go as it goes. There are things that we need in life, and there are certain things that we don't necessarily need. And I guess this is the challenge for this is, do I really need all of the fancy equipment? Do I really need to have all these things? And as we edge closer and closer to moving to where we're deciding to move, I hope that I get to a point where I don't need to bring that much, and wherever place we're at will probably more than likely supply us with all the necessities, and even the wants will all be there. But I guess at the end of the day, when it comes to YouTube, the most important idea that I'm getting from this is that the story is more important. The message is more important. The way things are delivered are a lot stronger. All those things, all those elements, I guess what they say is like the whole idea of storytelling. The things that the Casey Neistats of the world are capable of doing, the Mr. Beast. Even though they may have what we consider to be high-end gear, I realized that they didn't necessarily start with that in the beginning. And the reality is that sometimes you just have to just go with it. Don't bring the gear. Just start filming regardless of where you are. And I guess the messages will come across when it needs to. And in this case, as I continue to ramble, I realize that's what it is. I don't really have a story to tell, just the point that I came to the conclusion that you don't need all this stuff. I don't need to spend the money be it in my regular life, nor in the gear that is required to create the YouTube videos. So hopefully in the future, when I move forward with all of this, and with all the extra sound behind me, I'll be able to create more, I guess, focus more on what the message is going to be versus what kind of gear I'm shooting it with and what angles I'm doing it with. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Hopefully that resonated with you, as that was more of an enlightenment for me. Have a good day. Bye.